Hello, Kindred Spirits, and welcome to my spiritual oasis, here weary souls come to find inner wisdom and peace. We are doing an elemental reading today focused on the element of air. So everything connected to the mind, communication, manifestation, intellect, networking, fairness, truth, harmony, all of those sort of mind space sort of topics, what we are going to be leaning into. So as you can see, the spread that I have is going to help guide us through a conversation about what the element of air covers in more detail, about each of the signs, so that you can pick your group better, I guess, when you're kind of watching any pick a card reading, whether it be this one or another type of pick a card where there are zodiac energies present. So a lot of the times we pick our sun, moon, rising. If it's a love reading, we might add our Venus or our Mars sign to it. But sometimes adding, our elements that are connected to Mercury, connected to Saturn, connected to Venus energies, so Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or if we have these energies in other locations in our chart, it might help us understand another side to ourselves, and that's primarily how we communicate, whether with ourselves through how we think about things and how we process information, how we analyze information, or how we communicate with people outside of ourselves, how we network, whether we're shy when we're network or whether we're really expressive or outgoing, is all going to kind of twists and turns around this conversation of the element of air. So before I get into all of the juicy, fun details, I don't know how juicy air is going to be, but before we get into that topic, I would like to invite you to join the Kindred family here by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Click like on the video if you connect with something, or if you like these type of pick a card / informative readings, and also drop a comment down below. Let me know which group or groups you selected today, which energy you were drawn to, etc., or any other thoughts that come to your mind and heart to share. If you're interested in your own personal reading, you can connect with me on Etsy. I also curate all types of other content on my Etsy shop, so if you're interested, do check that out as well. So yeah, let's get into the element of air. So, as we can see by the two cards here at the bottom, these are kind of what I would consider the more general energies or informations about the element of air. So again, like we talked about, the element of air covers our mind space as a personal connection. It covers our mind space. Depending on it covers our objectivity, how we learn, how we process data and information. It's an outwardly expressive energy, so it's a divine masculine energy, yang energy. It's expressive, it's action oriented, forward moving in general, proactivity. And the really important thing I would say to remember about air is that air is quick. So we know that fire is also divine masculine energy, and fire does move, and it moves at a quick pace, but air is instantaneous in a lot of ways, right? So if you think about it from the perspective of the mind, or this idea or concept of thinking, thoughts happen so fast, you can't control your thoughts in a lot of ways, right? Or you can't control unconscious thoughts, let's put it that way. You can be intentional about your thinking, but you can't stop a thought, right? When it's already on its way, you can't stop a thought, but you can transform the types of thoughts that you allow to run amok, we'll say, in your mind. Another note that I wanted to make, and while I do that, I'm actually going, oh my gosh, right on the bottom of the deck here. I wanted to show the Magician card because I talked about air being and the element of manifestation. So, to be honest, there's a lot that goes into manifestation. It's not just one element. It's honestly a combination. It's about being in alignment and in harmony with yourself, your path, and your true north, your direction, right? But in tarot, the Magician card represents manifestation, and it's connected to the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign that is ruled by the planet Mercury. So I feel like this talking about, and I talk about this in other videos too, that manifestation is largely in part by your thought processes, how you think, how you talk to yourself, and how you communicate to yourself and to the universe. And like I mentioned, I talked about this a lot in another video. It was a pick a card. It was like a one card pick a card, and it had a really powerful message around the position in our chakral energy that our mind resides in. So our mind space, our thought, our communication is connected to our throat chakra. And if we think of the chakras in alignment like a highway, and traffic goes both ways, but we'll think of it more like a country highway, like a one-laner, right? Whereas if there's an accident or something happens somewhere along that highway, traffic isn't gonna get through. And so if we think of that in the sense of like manifestation, because our heart chakra lives right below our throat chakra in our chest space, and a lot of times that's where we dream and we desire and we hope and we want these different things. And even if we're sending that beautiful energy or trying to get that message or communicate that energy with the universe, if there is something going on in our throat chakra, it's going to prevent that message from getting to the universe in a way that is clear, concise, and specific. So the reason why I mentioned this was, again, in that other video I talked about, we talk about manifestation a lot in the concept of like planting a crop or a garden or something of that nature. And the idea here is that if you want, say for example, a loving partnership, which we'll call tomatoes. So if you want a loving partnership, then you plant that in your field, and you expect that to grow, and eventually the harvest will come. And the idea here is that you're not planting corn and expecting tomatoes. And so sometimes what we desire in our heart, what we wish to plant, is not what we actually plant, because that is not what we're communicating to the universe through our thoughts, through our self-talk, through all of those different mechanisms that flow through our communication centers, or these elements and spaces and places of air energy, okay? So I feel like our conversations today are going to be centered around this idea of manifestation. Manifesting your desires, manifesting what you want through these zodiac energies, through their ruling planetary energy, and through the element of air, okay? So, air. We said air is quick, So if you get a lot of like air messages in your reading, like in your tarot reading, often that means that things are going to be either picking up or happening really fast, right? So if the Knight of Air, Knight of Swords, sorry, my brain stopped functioning properly for a second. Then if the Knight of Swords is coming towards you, they're coming quick, right? We're talking minutes, hours, days, weeks, you know, like very, very fast energy, quick, just like the mind. And also understanding that because air energy is divine masculine, it's outwardly expressive, it is action oriented, it's energetically, I would say, intense, because it is that outwardly you're releasing air, your energy, you're giving it away in order to do something, in order to accomplish something like manifesting, communicating, networking, etc. It's not sustainable on its own. So I feel like that's why the the energy, which I love, and I'm gonna find the tarot card, but the Four of Swords is so important. And here's the star, connected to sorry, I think I passed something that I was looking for. There it is, the Libra. I said the Libra. Okay. So, Libra is connected to the Justice. Aquarius is connected to the Star. Ooh, I just had an idea. I thought about that. That's interesting. Okay, so I am going to find the Four of Swords in here eventually. But I love the Four of Swords because I feel like right now, the Two of Swords is a good one too. I feel like we don't allow our minds to rest enough. I feel like we're always trying to jump to the next thing, to the next bit, like maybe like busy work, I might say. Like I might use that term. We're always trying to be busy, and if our hands aren't busy, if our eyes aren't busy, if something isn't happening, then something's wrong, or it feels like something is wrong. But these are two of my favorite cards in tarot, because it's really, to me, it's really about like allowing the mind to rest. So the Four of Swords is about rest, like mental rest and mental, like there's a peace, right? And I feel like, especially if you're trying to work through something, like resting your mind, literally sleeping, and or just like unplugging, getting away from your computer, your laptop, all of that artificial light makes it difficult for you to sleep and all this stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, but just like allowing your mind to rest, like meditation or reading a physical book, journaling, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe it's just like, I don't know, sitting in the dark with some candles burning or taking a bath. But just like resting, like giving yourself the gift of rest is really important to help you physically rejuvenate, but also mentally gain clarity. I feel like my most clairvoyant moments are right away in the morning, like in that space between conscious and unconsciousness. So I remember these things, but I'm not like preoccupied with my day yet. So I like in that space, I come up with ideas for stuff and come up with reading, doing different readings or different things that I want to create for you all and stuff, either here on YouTube or in my Etsy shop or whatever. In that moment, like right after you allow your mind to just chill out, And then the Two of Swords, this idea of clarity, this idea of peace of mind is what I connect to the Two of Swords to. Like having a peace of mind. It's almost like yeah, it's almost like you're allowing the mind to not have to make the decisions all on its own, because you're also trusting your intuition. And your intuition, which is connected to the third eye, or your brow chakra, which is between your eyebrows on your forehead, is also about communication as well. To me, it's about communication and perception and understanding, but it's using a different mechanism, right? It's not using that logic and reason and interpretation of the tangible situation. It's more of a, spiritual, sort of energetic intelligence, which is just as valuable as the mind. So I just thought I'd share those two cards when we're talking about air energy. Truth, justice. So the Magician talks about manifestation. The Justice card talks about truth, balance, harmony, honesty. And I feel like, honesty out in the world, but more importantly, honesty with yourself. We lie to ourselves a lot. Okay, I'll speak for myself. I lie to myself. I do sometimes, especially when the truth isn't something I want to hear. Which, when we think about the truth, right? The truth is not meant to assuage our emotions or our feelings. It is emotionless. And because it is emotionless, it can be honest. It can be completely raw and, just straight to the point. And that's what sword energy is about, right? There's a lot of difficult cards in sword energy because of that honest element. So I feel like along the way, even if we are more emotive people, we learn that, being honest is really difficult often, especially when it might hurt someone's feelings or your own feelings. But ultimately, in the end, living in truth, living in understanding is, for longevity's sake, more sustainable, if we think about it that way. And then the Star card talks about hope. And it also, to me, it talks about, connected to Aquarius energy. Aquarius energy is air. It's fixed air, by the way. And its ruling planet is Saturn. So I go by ancient rulers. If you watch anything on my channel, you will know that I go by ancient rulers. And so Saturn is the ruling energy of Aquarius. So Aquarius is the divine masculine side to Saturn. So it would make sense, Saturn being the furthest energetic body from the sun in ancient astrology, it would make sense that Saturn is cool, distant, aloof, and focused on, all of the planetary energies are focused on our greater good, right? So we think of Saturn, we think, oh, Saturn's rough around the edges. And Saturn is rough around the edges. There's a dry sort of, just a dry, really rough energy to Saturn, but Saturn's earth-air combination. And though we think of Earth as like nature and all these kind of luscious things, Earth is dry by itself. Like trees and stuff don't grow in Earth without water. Water is the juiciness, right, to Earth energy. Earth is the grounding, the stability, it holds, it's the bowl that holds life. It isn't the life, okay? I'm hoping that makes sense. So Aquarius, being the divine masculine side to Saturn, is going to be cold. It's going to be distant. It's going to be aloof. But remember, still has our greater good at heart. Still has our greater good as a part of its energy, right? So yes, Saturn are those lessons, but there's also a giving energy to Aquarius. So when we think about the star, we think about there's distance there, right? Stars are physically distant from us, but they provide us with hope. They provide us with direction. They provide us with connectivity to the knowledge and the energies that are beyond our corporeal understanding of spirituality. And Aquarius actually functions the same way. Aquarius, because Aquarius is air, Aquarius is able to slip past Saturn, who is the keeper of the keys between the physical world and the spiritual realm. So Aquarius is able to slip past, collect the knowledge and information about those spiritual lessons and bring them back down to earth for us. And Aquarius energy is, again, very philanthropic. They're very giving in that way, but there still is a distance to them and a coolness to them just because of those other placements. So I think, Aquarius as being hopeful, and even if you see the star bearer here is pouring, similar to what I just explained, like pouring energy from into the spiritual realm or the collective consciousness and the earthly plane. So it kind of straddles that line. So I think that's perfect. Beautiful. All right. So we've kind of been meandering a little bit. I am going to go through each of the signs, but I wanted us to look at air from a holistic standpoint and kind of look at all the different angles that we can talk and think about air. So if we were to go through the signs, the 3 zodiac signs that connect to air energy, we have Gemini as the first air energy. It's the 3rd zodiac sign, which I feel like is befitting in numerology as well, because the number 3 is connected to communication. It's connected to socialization. There's a bit of the number 3 really isn't, the number 3 is more like quantity over quality when it comes to like friendships and connections and networking. It's more about getting out there, being seen, being with other people. There's a very kind of youthful, sort of flippant, free energy to the number 3, which I think goes very well with the Gemini energy and air energy just in general. And then we have the ruling planetary energy for Gemini is Mercury. So Mercury is the planet of communication, thought, learning, networking. Gemini is the divine masculine counterpart to Mercury, and Virgo is the divine feminine counterpart to Mercury energy. Again, there's a curiosity, an intellectual side, networking, very quick-minded. I feel like I instantaneously can tell if somebody has strong Gemini placements in their birth chart, and I'm rarely wrong because there's also sort of like a kind of a jittery energy to Gemini as well, like feels very bird-like to me. And birds are very much so connected to air energy as well with their messages and such nots. But just kind of this kind of jittery, unsettled, quick sort of energy. I don't know about you, but a lot of the Geminis that I know kind of I feel like they cut people off a lot. Maybe this is just my experience. I love Geminis. I have friends that are Geminis. My dad's a Gemini, so I love Geminis. This is just what I have observed. They cut people off, and I feel like they do this is because their mind works so quickly that it's almost like it's almost like they get patterns of communication in their mind, so they can like almost predict, not from like an intuitive point, but just from like an analysis point. They can kind of predict like where the direction of the conversation is going to go, what you're going to say next. Sometimes they're wrong. Let's just be honest. Sometimes they're wrong. But I feel like in a lot of cases, especially if they've kind of been around the same conversations, they can kind of predict what's going to happen next, or what somebody's going to say, or how that person's going to finish their sentence. I don't know. It's annoying as all heck, because I like to be able to finish my thoughts. Thank you very much. But I think it's an interesting kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a skill or a talent, but something to kind of point out, because again, that air energy there's an analytical part to that energy, and speech patterns, especially if you know somebody, you start to pick up on like their speech patterns and all of that kind of stuff as well. So there's an impatience energy as well to Gemini that I get a lot. And like I said, just like kind of a busy, like it's almost like you can see their mind working a lot. Even if they're not saying anything, you can tell that there are just a lot of thoughts happening very, very quickly. Like it's interesting, super interesting. And then some things to watch out for if you are a Gemini, or you have Gemini placements or strong Mercurian placements in your charts, is anxiety. Anxiety is a huge, I would say, challenge with all of the air signs, but I feel like Gemini specifically, because of that mind, right? It's always working, it's always moving and thinking and processing and analyzing and all these sorts of things. So making sure that you have some sort of rest for some sort of rest, some sort of like mental relaxation, meditation, physical movement. The Geminis that I know, I feel like do better mentally when they're physically moving, because it gets them thinking and doing, it gets them thinking about other stuff, like what's happening with their body, like where am I putting my arm, where am I putting my leg, right? So it's less about what's happening in your mind and more about, processing through what's physically going on around you. So and then manifestation. So I know the Lovers card is actually also connected to Gemini energy. And I feel like it's the options thing, right? You can't have that jittery, fast-moving, intense energy without having options. So I'm trying to find the Lovers card. So options, whether that be in romantic options or whether that be just options in life in general. I feel like the idea person is Gemini, like, right? The idea guy, and using guy in a divine masculine sense. The person who can come up with ideas is going to be that Gemini position. Okay. So, Libra. Libra is the divine masculine counterpart to Venus energy. And to me, it's actually really interesting, because I feel like when we think of Venus, we think of feminine energy, divine feminine energy. And I feel like this is going to make sense in a minute, because I feel like when we think of Mars energy, we think of masculine energy. Just kind of natural, right? Just a natural sort of energies that are connected. But all of our planets are balanced. The sun is not a planet, the moon is not a planet, right? So the sun is just masculine. It's pure, unadulterated masculine energy, and the moon is pure, unadulterated feminine energy. The planets, however, are balanced. They have in ancient astrology, they all have a masculine and a feminine counterpart. Now, our divine masculine counterpart to Venus, to me personally, is a little bit softer around the edges than some of the other divine masculine counterparts to some of the other planets. And I feel like this is intentional, because Venus energy, right, the planets are bigger than the zodiac signs. They they rule. Their energy is expressed through the zodiac sign. So that Venetian giving, receiving, loving, beauty focused, beauty, value, all of that kind of stuff is expressed through Libra as well as Taurus. But we're air, right? We're in the mind space, divine masculine, outwardly expressive. So how does that manifest? Well, through Libra, it manifests through fairness, harmony, or the pursuit of harmony and balance, consideration, which I feel like a lot of Libras, I feel like lean either one way or the other. They're either really selfish or really like overly they overcompensate to what other people want. And the kind of life pursuit, if you will, of Libra energy is to find that balance. That's what they're always striving for. So Libras are not balanced. They strive for balance. That is like kind of their life mission, if you will. And that's to say a lot about a lot of the signs, like what they're associated with is often what the energy, the intent of the energy, and individuals are meant to pursue that. I feel like this is especially true if you have either rising or sun sign. Your rising or sun sign is what your spirit, your soul is meant to personify in this life. You don't come into this life with that energy already intact, if that makes any sense at all. I hope that makes sense. It's what you're pushing towards. It's your unique mark on the world if it's your sun. It's your, self-expression if it's your ascending sign. So those are all things we grow into along our journey. So the Justice card is associated to Libra. And like professions, we often think of like judges or lawyers, people who focus on that fair element, right? Fairness, harmony, different things like that. Partnership is a huge focus for Libra as well. If we think about the birth chart, traditionally Libra rules the 7th house, or that's its natural placement, is the 7th house. And if we look at the birth chart, the 7th house is the first house that comes outside of that comes after like your inwardly focused energies. So if we're looking at a birth chart, the houses on the bottom of the birth chart, houses 1 through 6, are like all of kind of your personal stuff. That's your personal, how you personally communicate, what you personally value, your self-identity, your creative mark, your routine, how you develop routines and all that kind of stuff lives below the horizon. And then all of the energies, all of the houses above the horizon, 7 through 12, are you interacting with the outside world or other people or other groups or other entities. So Libra is connected to the 7th house of partnership. So like the first, I would say that kind of the first introduction to us connecting with the outside world is this idea of partnership, right? You and one other individual makes a partnership, whether that be romantic, business, friendship, whatever, right? Partnership is not just romance, it's other stuff too. So I feel like I feel like it makes sense relationally that there is that insecurity in Libra, right? Because we're coming out of our individuality, right? Our individual energy and what we need and want and all of that stuff. And we're combining that with someone else or something else. So I feel like it makes sense that there would be some wobbly legs on that side, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I balance my needs, which is what I'm used to, right? 1 through 6, houses 1 through 6, and like this new concept or idea of other people and what they need and what they want and all this other sort of stuff. So I think that's an interesting connection, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Libras, you know, because again, they're connected to that at Venus, are often very, you know, very connected to, you know, beauty. Some people might say vanity, beauty, love, value. You know, I feel like Taurus is more like tangible value, like stuff and things that are monetarily focused. And Libra, I would say, is more like social value, if I can say that, more like social values. So for example, if they were picking a partner, they might be more focused on that person's social value, and, you know, probably, you know, would care about their financial, monetary aspects as well. But like that social currency is important to them as well, I should say. I always thought that Libra had a little bit of a feminine vibe to them, and it makes sense that they're connected to Venus energy in that sense. And when I say feminine, I mean divine feminine, more of a focus on the nurturing, nourishing, more concerned about creating community, more concerned about, you know, others and not like their selves necessarily. I feel like a lot of divine masculine energy is about achieving something or going out there and doing something. It could be for others, but, you know, there's kind of like this agenda, and it's about kind of solo dolo accomplishments. And divine feminine energy to me is more about collaboration and connectivity to others. Reminds me of the number 2 in numerology. Okay. And then Aquarius. So Aquarius is, sorry, I'm just trying to think of when I did that. I don't remember. Okay. Aquarius, we already mentioned, is a, you know, that divine masculine, outwardly expressive energy. Excuse me. It's the 11th zodiac sign, and Saturn is Aquarius's ancient planetary ruler. We spent a lot of time on Aquarius already, but just to kind of reiterate or to expand that, you know, Aquarius connects to the 11th house in astrology, and the 11th house is about networks, technology, friendliness to, I feel like it's like friendliness is needed in order to develop these networks. Socializing with others, bringing others together, specifically under a cause. So like when you think of networks, you think, I feel like I think about like these kind of nodes of focus that people gravitate towards depending on their interests. And networks, because people are so multi-dimensional, like they cross over and intersect and all that other kind of stuff. But the idea is that there's a focus for each of these different networks. And that Saturn energy, to me, brings patience. It brings experience, hard work, restrictions, which, who wants to hear the word restrictions? I feel like Saturn energy also teaches us how to, I feel like we don't think of Saturn as a creative entity, because I think in and of itself, it's not necessarily a creative entity, though sometimes the struggles that you go through, you like, Saturn really was being creative on this one, wasn't. But oh man. Anyway, I feel like Saturn invokes creativity through restriction. So if you oftentimes I feel like we just kind of want life to be easy, right? Or we think if life were easy, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if life was easy and I just had everything I needed? We would be I would feel like we would be uncreative, because it's like when you're in a situation where you don't have everything you need, you have to figure out a way. You have to use your mind, your creativity, etc., etc. Maybe even ask for help or get other resources or tap into other people. Like, right? You have to start shucking and jiving a little bit and being creative and thinking outside the box sometimes. When you're set up against a restriction or a roadblock or a hurdle or something of that nature. And so that's what I feel like Saturn does. And like I said, Saturn has our greatest good at heart, even though we question whether or not Saturn even has a heart. I'm just saying, not trying to throw Saturn under the bus, but here it comes, right? So, I feel like this idea of restriction forces us to be more creative. Again, it's not creativity. It just invokes creativity. Or I should say not necessarily. I'm not saying that Saturn isn't creative. And then also this energy about hard work and learning and patience. Patience. We have less and less patience these days. But anyway, lessons. I've been talking a lot. I feel like there's lots to say about air. Well, about any of the elements, right? I feel like I've over-talked, though. So I feel like, I hope this was helpful. Obviously, there's always timestamps in any of my videos if you want to skip through these things, but if you made it to this part, you probably have listened to all of what I've babbled about. Or maybe you've already moved on to your reading and you're not even listening to me talk about this. So anyway, that's fine. Either way and anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on to the actual readings. So we're going to have 3 readings that are represented by each of the zodiac signs: Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And the idea here is that if you have these placements in your chart, or strong placements of these in your chart, you're obviously, maybe not obviously, but you can pick, whatever sign you're vibing with. If you don't have a strong, like, sun, moon, rising, or Mercury placement in Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, you might want to pick off of topic, right? So Gemini is covering more of the communication, intellect, networking. Libra covers more like the partnership thing, fairness, harmony, different things like that. And Aquarius would be, more centered around like philanthropy, networking, making the spiritual tangible, that sort of energy there. The 11th house is also connected to wishes coming true, which I think is really interesting because that energy is connected to the 10th house, which the 10th house, obviously the house before the 11th house, is about like hard work, diligence, effort, and it's like the wishes coming true based off of your effort. So by the way, and that was just a random thing that came to my brain. Maybe someone needed to hear that. Okay, so we have the Fairy Oracle. I don't actually know what is the legit Oracle of the Fairies by Karen K that we'll be using. We'll be using the Divine Feather Messenger Oracle deck, as well as the Angel Tarot. I actually use this deck more as like an Oracle deck, but we'll talk about that in a review of the deck at a later time. I also have other stuff out here if I feel like using it, other decks and other charms and whatnot. So whatever I'm vibing, whatever I'm feeling, that's what we're going to go with. So pause the video at this point in time if you need to meditate on which group has your message in it. Otherwise, my darlings, we're gonna get right into the reading. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your Soulful7 reading, where we are focused on air energy messages. And so, if you haven't known already, or if you skipped past the first part of this video, then you will know that Gemini is the first air sign that shows up in the zodiac. It's connected to the 3rd house in astrology, and the 3rd house covers our communication, our early childhood learning, how we basically process and communicate with the immediate world around us, as well as ourselves, and therefore the universe. Okay, so Gemini energy. So we're gonna go ahead and shuffle for you. Messages for Gemini. Okay, these 2 fill out. We'll do one more. We have Anel, Gabriel, and Iahel. Probably destroying all of these angel names, so apologies ahead of time. All right, so I always have to kind of sit with this deck a little bit because there's a lot of information on each card, which I like. So what I'm seeing here, the message that I'm getting for you is that if you've been feeling, I would say, disconnected, or maybe you've been communicating your desires to the universe and you don't feel like you're being heard, what I am seeing here is that your messages, the messages that you've been seeking, the energy that you've been seeking is coming to you. I also have a message around being more diligent about understanding. That particular message is coming up, and I feel like understanding could go many ways. It feels a little arbitrary, so I'll probably clarify later, but we're gonna just add our feathers. So we have the heron and the turkey. Let go of convention and follow your own unique path. I feel like that's a message for you, especially if you've been feeling conflicted. If you've been feeling conflicted, if you've been feeling misunderstood, if you've been feeling like you're not where you belong, you're probably not where you belong. So there's going to be a need of almost like a soul searching energy is what I'm feeling. And then we have the turkey. Honor your own time of harvest. Offer your gifts and blessings as service to the greater good. So this is the message that I'm getting about here. For those of you who have businesses, this feels very specific. For those of you who have businesses, or you're trying to cultivate some sort of a business or some sort of following or something of that nature, the message that I'm getting here is don't be so focused on what's the word I want? Don't be so focused on or preoccupied with what other people are doing when you think that you should be somewhere. For example, like, you know, if you've been doing, say, YouTube videos for a year and you feel like you should be at a place where you should be able to monetize because that's how someone else is doing, how someone else's journey went. I feel like there's a message around honor your own time of harvest. You know, give freely of your skills and talents and trust the universe is what I'm getting. There's a message here around paying attention to analytics or paying attention to information. If the business thing isn't connecting with you, and have a desire to truly know. So I'm also getting this message if you are a Gemini or coming here and you're looking for like a partnership or you're looking to, you know, be in a partnership or be with another individual, this idea of truly desiring to know who they are, like approaching the dating scene from that way instead of from an analytical, or I should say an elimination perspective where you're kind of just cutting people out if they don't meet very specific criteria, if you will, from your list. Now, obviously, have your standards and stick to your standards. You know, have your no-goes and don't go, right? If it's a no, go. But I just feel like there's a strong message here around being authentic and honest about your interactions with people. Not just saying what you think they want to hear, not doing what you think someone else, you know, not doing what you think you should be doing, but doing what feels good to you, what feels right, what sits well in your hearts and your mind. Believe in magic. Believe in your own magic. I mentioned earlier if you were having issues like manifesting or your desires have not yet come to fruition, I feel like this is just a message to you, encouraging you to see the magic all around you and not be looking for a specific manifestation or a specific manifestation of magic, but keeping your heart, mind, and soul open to the various different ways that the universe can communicate with us and how magic can express itself in our lives. And then we have moderation. Gemini, you can be excessive sometimes. So just be mindful. I mean, anybody can be excessive, right? Anybody can be excessive, but I feel like there's almost a conservation energy. Like you're conserving your energy, conserving your... Yeah, it just feels like there's a conservation energy, that there's a message around patience, which is probably might be kind of challenging for you, Gemini. But I feel like there are messages around kind of like that spirit works in its own time, that the universe works in its own time, and, you know, some things happen quickly, some things happen slowly, but it just feels like there's a message around respecting respecting how time works for you and being okay with it not being what you want when you want it. And during that downtime, you're not being excessive. You're not, you know, you're being mindful of your health, mental, physical well-being. You're keeping your heart in mind. Ooh, look what popped out for you. Resty, rest, rest. Yeah, I feel like there's just kind of a message around kind of chilling out a little bit. Yeah, there are a couple messages around like paying attention to your health and your wellness. Seeking out answers. Being patient for results. Ace of Wands. So it feels like that. I feel like there's a message around something new. A new passion project, potentially love if you're interested in love or open to it. But some new passion is going to take off or come to you, maybe even in your sleep while you're resting. There's a message around some of you might be kind of battling with passions or conflicting passions and desires, and that could be maybe with what you're doing now versus what you really want to be doing is the message that I'm getting. So you might be kind of doing what you have to do, or maybe you started down a path that you thought that was truly what you wanted, and then, you know, the longer you were in a situation, you found out that, yeah, maybe that's not quite my thing. I feel like there's a message around having the strength to be patient. For example, if you're in a job that's not your thing, you know, being responsible and sticking it out until you can find something else to replace that income or whatever, right? You're not just jumping ship and not paying rent, getting evicted, or putting your family in a difficult position. You know what I mean? So it's like acknowledging that you aren't where you want to be is the first step. Figuring out a path to get where you want to go is the next step. But you're not just jumping, you know, ship is the message I'm getting. It feels very dramatic. And I feel like there's just a message. It just feels like there's a temperance energy to this reading, even though the temperance didn't show up. I feel like there's a lot of messages around resting, relaxing, calming down. You know, something is coming that you're going to be really excited about. If you're in a place or space of conflict, or you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling, you know, like you want to jump ship, there's a message around just calming down, being patient, allowing the universe to work in your favor, you know, focusing on your spiritual journey, seeking the answers that you know, that are out there for you that you need to hear. And again, just not doing anything dramatic or drastic right now, trusting in divine timing and kind of allowing spirit to work for you is the message that I'm getting here, primarily for you, Gemini. So these are the messages that I have channeled for you today. I hope this was helpful. If something resonated, do drop a comment down below. Click like, subscribe to my YouTube channel if we're not already connected, and I'll see you in an upcoming reading. Bye. Hello, Libra. Welcome to your Soulful7 reading. We are going to start off with feathers, I think. Messages for Libra. Air energy. We're talking about communication, thoughts, maybe even partnership. Any kind of partnership, of course. Ooh, lovely. Before we flip those, I'm actually going to pull some tarot for you as well, Libra. Balance, fairness, harmony, consideration, partnership, Libra, sun, moon, rising. Mercury. So let's go ahead and start flipping. Knight of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Nine of Cups, Owl, and Duck. So the owl is telling you to follow your intuition. I'm getting a message around fairness to yourself. I'm getting a message also that you're using your mind too much to make decisions. And there's a message around using your other powers of discernment and intelligence in order to make decisions that are in alignment for you. Your mind isn't the only resource of information is a message that I'm getting for you. Okay, so we had 3 crystals come out. The Angel Aura Quartz, Lighten Up, which I feel like is connected to our Four of Swords. Yeah, I feel like you're overanalyzing something. You're overthinking something. And it could be a relationship or some sort of partnership or connection with somebody who's an earth sign. For some reason I got Capricorn specifically, but it could be any sign, literally, but specifically maybe an earth sign, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus in Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. I feel like you might be also overthinking some sort of business endeavor that you're going with, or maybe there's a decision that you have to make right now, and you could be kind of like overthinking or over processing what you should do, which direction you should go. I'm feeling like you're kind of in the building phases, right? You're very serious. You're taking this very seriously. Maybe you started your own business or you branched out or something in some sort of solo endeavor. I feel like there's an encouragement to be more confident in your decisions, and your decisions will invoke that confidence when you are using your intuition more. When you allow yourself to tap into your intuition and use your intuition, you're going to find it easier to make decisions, is the message I'm getting. So we have turquoise, which talks about prioritizing your health. Chrysoprase, which talks about allowing yourself to receive, so asking for help. It's good to be confident, but sometimes I feel like, anything in excess, anything out of balance is troublesome. So I would say overconfidence is arrogance. Overconfidence is being afraid or, not asking for help when we need it. So I feel like there's a message around asking for help if you need it, and not feeling ashamed or embarrassed or whatever about doing that. The most successful people have advisors. They network and communicate with their peers to get ideas and help and assistance to help them on their journey. So don't feel bad about that. Bring in the light. Lighten up, bring in the light. Prioritize your health. So I'm feeling like mental well-being, resting is coming through really strongly here for you. And let's get some angel energy here. Let's get some angels. Angel. Kaheto. Divine blessings. So I feel like Kaheto is protective. It feels protective. It's interesting. It says this angelic energy rules agricultural production, and we have the Knight of Pentacles present. I feel like that could be literal, obviously, depending on your situation. But I feel like there's also a message around, because oftentimes we talk about manifesting what we want. We talk about it in terms of agriculture, right? Planting the seeds that will grow, planting the proper seeds, planting corn if you want corn, etc. And so I feel like there's a message around your crops from a more of a spiritual, metaphysical sense. Again, this is the message I'm receiving. Being protected and being emphasized, or you're getting like angelic energy or spiritual support in those endeavors that you are putting work behind. And I feel like this is kind of just I feel like it's almost a reassurance from spirit, like your work is not in vain, that what you put your energy behind, it will fruit. There will be a harvest. Abundance is guaranteed with the principles of the principles of sowing and reaping, etc. So I feel like that's just a really strong message for you. We have Azael, comfort, consolation, protection. So I feel like this is also kind of connected to, again, that Four of Swords energy, this idea of comfort. I feel like it's just like rest assured that you're being looked after, and that spirit in the universe, knocking things off of this dust, you're being heard. I feel like all of this needs to slide. Okay. All right. Sticky fingers. All right. There we go. Just a little bit. We can get it good. I have problems always straightening things out. I noticed that about I know everything's kind of slightly crooked but only on half of the video. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Anyway, hi, we're here. I feel like it's getting darker. Is it getting too dark? Do I need to turn on my artificial lights? Okay. All right, and then some final messages from our fairies. Light. So this is the third card around light. So I feel like that's a message that's being triangulated for you. The Fairy Queen of Light comes to shed love and light onto your current situation and to remind you that light can penetrate the darkness. So I feel like that's a triangulated message around light. Lighten up, light, bring in the light. The Fairy Queen of Light. Inspiration. Oh, I love this. Be prepared, as you'll soon receive a visit from the Fairy of Inspiration. Come dusk or dawn, she can call at any time. Inspo. I feel like if you also know kind of when genius strikes you to allow your mind to rest enough to allow that energy to come in. Like for me, for example, I feel like I talked about this earlier in the video, but if you missed it, I am the most inspired like in the wee hours, like it's typically like an hour before my alarm goes off, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, like in the wee hours of the morning, like right between subconscious and unconsciousness, but I'm conscious enough to remember. That's kind of the little pocket of like just intense inspiration. It's like unadulterated thoughts and feelings and all sorts of things that come in during that time. So if you know when you are the most inspired, when you are the most encouraged to do the things that you care most about, then I feel like there's a strong message to cultivate that. And yeah, I just feel like there's a strong message around allowing your mind to rest so that you can allow that inspiration in. Step away from if you're in a position where you're trying to make a decision, step away from it for a minute, for a bit. Take a walk, take a weekend, whatever it is. Step away from it. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water and getting rest, like good sleep, rest. And it doesn't have to be sleep per se, but just like resting your mind from making decisions or thinking about things in general. Whatever that looks like for you, however that works best for you, do that. Sorry, it's just not centered again and things are out and okay. I'm not sorry. I'm all right. Yeah. Comfort. I don't actually think I read the duck card, but find comfort and balance in simple ways. So there's a message around balance, a message around comfort. Azael's energy is about comfort, reception. Kind of feel like this is causing issues. If this idea of like being overconfident or feeling like you have to, even if it's like appearances, right? Because we're talking about honesty. Air energy is about honesty and truth. So if you feel like your confidence is running on low vibration, meaning it's more arrogance or more, you feeling like you have to appear that you have everything together when you really don't, like that's low vibration. That's a problem. And I feel like allowing yourself to receive, allowing yourself to ask for help, being more rested and finding comfort, finding balance, especially if you find yourself overworking or doing too much, prioritizing your health. I just feel like there are a lot of messages around being the light in your life, giving yourself what you need in order to function properly and to live in a way that is harmonious. The angel energy that's coming out for you is about blessings, comfort, protection, because I do feel like you're in a place where you need to step back from whatever you're doing and have a moment. And it's okay to have a moment. It's okay to step away. It will be there when you get back, is the exact message that I had. So I shared it exactly how it came to me. So Libra, these are the messages that I have channeled for you today. I hope this was helpful for you. If something resonated, do drop a comment down below. Let me know what did. Click like and subscribe on my YouTube channel if we're not already connected. And I will see you in an upcoming reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Aquarius, and welcome to your Soulful7 reading where we are connecting to air energy. So you are my sign of progress, philanthropy, originality. You're a little quirky, a little unique, a little off the beaten path. Fixed air, so once you make up your mind, you make up your mind. You're connected to that Saturn energy as well, bringing us lessons, bringing us, I feel like Aquarius is, I feel like Aquarius brings lessons, but I feel like the lessons are delivered in a less intense way. I feel like you're bringing us truth and you're connecting us to the collective conscious. You're helping us make our, spiritual intentions manifest in the physical plane. You're bringing down those spiritual lessons into a tangible physical existence. So we appreciate all of that energy. Let's shuffle out some tarot for you. This might sound really weird, but but oh, that's interesting. I'm feeling, yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like this card, AIL, is talking about transformation. I feel like when I saw the Five of Cups and the Hermit, I was like, it reminded me of, okay, might be weird, but you know when you're in church and the pastor's like, or there's probably a scripture in the Bible that talks about all ye who are, I'm going to jack this up, all ye who are weary and burdened. It's almost like it's like calling your flock of burdened, beat down sheep that need some assistance. That's what I feel like this is. So I feel like there's a message around, you know, if you're weary, if you're struggling or in difficulty, I feel like there's a message around looking inward, looking at your inner world. I feel like we want to focus so much on the outside. We want to focus so much on the enterprising aspects, and honestly, at least in Western culture, that's what's celebrated and encouraged. But there's a strong message for you to focus your energy on your inner world. There's also a message around gratitude. So it's easy sometimes to focus on what we don't have, but when we turn around and we see, you know, you lost 3 cups, yes, but you still have 2 whole cups. So I feel like there's a message around gratitude. I feel like there's a message around inner reflection. I feel like there's a message around, I feel like this is just an encouragement as well. Like, again, if you're in this dark place, there's a message around, hey, there's hope, there are options. The world is actually completely available to you, completely opened up to you if you would only look up and see, right? So this individual is looking out and this individual is looking down, right? So I feel like there's a message around getting out of your own head, getting out of your own way, and not like limiting yourself mentally. Okay. Wisdom, love, yep. Ooh, 2 of Wands showed up twice, so I feel like that message is being reiterated or magnified. This idea of expansiveness, this idea of, it's like youthful intention, like you have the world available to you. Protect your energy. So if there is someone or someone's that is encouraging some of this sad, kind of emotionally distressing energy, that black tourmaline is rolling up and saying, hey, protect your energy, set some strong boundaries. People only have access to what you allow them to have access to. So if you don't want them to have access to whatever they have access to, then cut them off. Stay positive. Through this journey, you know, that's a puff of light right there. We are meant to go through trials, tribulations, challenges, difficulties along our path, right? So, you know, with Saturn ruling your sign, you probably already understand that. That there's a necessity to lessons. There's a necessity to challenge. There's a necessity to roadblocks. But even through that, positivity is necessary, right? And I feel like Aquarius really wears that well with this idea of friendliness. So Aquarius energy is really known to be, you know, very friendly, very open, very, there's just a very sociable, friendly, like, energy. And I feel like it's because Aquarius understands that, understands that there are challenges in life, that part of life, you know, that's it's necessary, right? Being that fixed air, you know, you understand that these things are necessary. Challenge and difficulty are necessary, even though they're not pleasant. They help us to grow and to understand, you know, what is pleasant. Purity, always trust in the purity of your heart. I feel like this card is connected to the stay positive message. Feels like the star energy in tarot as well. This idea of like hope and connectivity. Talking about the star. Speaking of the star, we have stargazing here. When you gaze at the stars, you give yourself fairy focus. Your intuition will flow more freely and reveal what you need to know about your situation. I'm also getting the message here that especially if your moon is in Aquarius, I feel like there's kind of a message around your intuition might be more cool, less emotional, because again, that's like your inner compass is with that Aquarius energy. It's a little more cool, a little bit more distant, not emotional. So weird. This might be random, but I found out that I have Aquarius, obviously, when I looked at my birth chart. My sidereal placements, Aquarius is in my 8th house. And really what that talks about is that, or part of what that talks about is how I but kind of like my approach to or perspective on death. And I've never been an emotional person like when people pass. And that really bothered me for a long time when I was little. I just couldn't understand. I was like, am I not processing this? Is it gonna all of a sudden just spill out? And it like never did. So I'm like, am I crazy? Like, what's going on? No. So, you know, Aquarius understands, like we were talking about, Aquarius understands the reality of things, right? Because Aquarius is able to get into that spiritual realm and bring those lessons down to earth. Aquarius doesn't have, and Aquarius isn't emotional, right? It's air, so it's not emotional. But I feel like it also just kind of understands that there is this balance, that these lessons are what they are, and they're all connected, and it all makes sense, right, in the greater kind of aspect or the greater vision of things. And so I thought I was crazy, y'all, but I'm not. At least not in that aspect. You know, that kind of explained that to me, and I was like, oh, okay. It just makes you less emotional about death. You know, I miss those individuals for sure, and had very fond memories, but like, I didn't do the whole, I wasn't like crying because they were gone. I was, if I was crying, which I did, I was crying because other people were crying, and that's my Pisces moon all day, okay? So anyway, moving on, enough about me. Let's get some feathers. So we have the bluebird. You're being gifted with blessings of happiness and peace. I love that. To me, that, again, that's more of that hope energy, right? We're maybe going through some things. We're on our spiritual journey. We've decided that we need to go in and do a little bit of soul searching. And I feel like Spirit is just saying, you know what? This is going to end well for you. This is going to end well for you. That happiness and peace are going to be a part of this journey for you. So we have the Wren. Be bold and confident. Use all of your resources to create your dreams. I love that as a final message for you. It's okay to go through a challenge, because on the other side of that challenge lives the abundance, lessons, yes, knowledge, yes, wisdom, yes. But on the often on the other side of our Saturn lessons, and I talk about this, maybe I don't talk about this. I feel like I do. But anyway, if I don't, I should. On the other side of Saturn lessons actually lives our abundance manifested in various different ways. So an example of that might be, you might go through a lot of challenges when it comes to partnerships and love. And part of that lesson might be about balancing your energy with another person's energy, or getting to know you really, really well so that you know what is your partner's and what is yours, and you're able to like be 100% with someone else rather than being some fraction, or allowing their energy to consume your energy, right? So you might go through a lot of kind of really rough lessons in love, right? Those Saturnian lessons. But on the other side of that is being able to manifest a partnership that is fruitful, balanced, that is healing, that is loving, that is respectful of you and your energy, and it's peace, right? One of these cards said peace, blessings of happiness and peace. Creating your dreams means that you're living a life of dreams. You're living a life of purity. You are being positive and, learning how to protect your energy, learning how to be grateful even in times of disappointment and challenge, learning that even though you're going through tough times, that the world is your oyster. The world is open to you, and that boldness and confidence is all a part of this transformation. So when I'm reading people's birth charts, I like looking at where Saturn is placed in their birth chart. So that is my recommendation to you, is to chart your birth chart. I personally use sidereal placements because I think they're more accurate. But looking at where you're set, what house your Saturn is, what house Saturn lives in your birth chart, if it has any aspects to any other planets, what sign is it in, and I would kind of, in theory, you're going to have some challenges in that house. There are going to be some Saturn lessons in that house. So for example, in my birth chart, Saturn lives in my 5th house. Right? Your 5th house is your house of creativity, your house of children, the house of your father, the house, it covers a lot, but primarily it's your 5th house, your house of kind of ego, because it's connected to your sun energy, your creative center. And with Saturn living in there, it really just talks about, I feel like having difficult, like you're kind of a more serious child. It talks about basically you finding your way creatively through roadblocks and challenges. And I mentioned earlier in this video that Saturn energy invokes our creativity because of the difficulties and challenges. And I feel like, yes, I feel like being able to express myself, being able to be creative and, make my dreams reality. Like, I do feel like there have been many roadblocks and challenges and difficulties, but now that I've passed my first Saturn return, and so I'd also look at when your Saturn return is, which is typically around the age of like 27 to 30, like somewhere around there is when your Saturn return is, but you can like chart that and Google that and figure that out. But the idea there is that you typically, when your Saturn return comes around, it's just like, it's almost like a check-in, like, did you learn the lesson or do you need some more? It's like that's kind of how I connected or related to. But the idea there with that is that you're just kind of aware and just educating yourself and looking at where some of the challenges might live in your life, because where those challenges live are often where your blessings also live, right? We talked about the gifts and blessings through wisdom and learning and challenge and difficulty. Like learning how to be grateful. You know, for some people it's easier than others, right? But this idea of gratitude, being grateful for what you have, even when you're going through a difficulty, spending some time thinking about what's actually going for you. You know, health might be a thing that's going for you, even if, say, for example, you lose your job or something like that. You know, you still have your health, you're still able-bodied, you have a sound mind, you have a good family or a good friend group or whatever it is, right, that you've got the blessings in your life. So I feel like there's a lot here. We've talked about it a lot. I feel like I've ran over it many, many, many times. And so I'm going to leave you on that thought that, you know, check out where Saturn is in your birth chart and, you know, lean into some of those challenges. You know, when I found out that Saturn was in my creative zone, I was like, oh, shoot, you know. But once we get there, you know, I feel like it's forced me to be creative about how I express myself too. Like, I feel like that there's a lot of lessons around you're not going to go the traditional path. Like, you're just not. And with Scorpio living in that space too, I feel like this idea of change and transformation will be kind of where the growing pains are, but also, again, where those blessings live. So check out your Saturn placement. What sign is it in? What house is it in? And does it have any aspects to other important planets, houses, energies, etc.? So my beautiful Aquariuses, this is the message these are the messages that I have channeled for you today. I hope this was helpful for you. If something resonated, do drop a comment down below, click like and subscribe, and I will see you in an upcoming reading. Bye.